Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Wildcat MTG. Today, we are going to spend some time taking a closer examination of the Secret Lair drop series of Stranger Things. And right now, I think anytime a new Secret Lair is announced and the cards from within that Secret Lair are unveiled, there's already a lot of channels out there that I think do a really high level job of examining and taking a look at those cards to try and determine ahead of time whether or not it is worth it for us to purchase that Secret Lair. One of the things that I don't see happen quite as often is going back after the fact. After that Secret Lair has been shipped, received, and we see those cards hit the secondary market and be sold individually and as sealed product, we don't often go back and take a look in hindsight to determine whether or not it was worth it for us to buy those. And so what I'd like to do is spend some time taking a look at some of the Secret Lairs that I have purchased and added into my own collection, tearing them open, looking at the individual prices in the current market post-release, and now looking at those and examining and determining and making that determination whether or not it was worth it for me to purchase it. So with that being said, let's open this up and kind of take a look here. So right away, it's been a while since the last time I've opened one of these, and the packaging has gotten a lot smaller, which is actually, I think, very nice. One of the things I will say that I really enjoy about this one, and typically I wasn't a fan on the old stuff of the boxing, but I actually really like this, and I think this is very cool, especially for this particular release of product. I will say that one of the things that makes this Stranger Things product a little bit different is that unlike a lot of Secret Lairs that are used and we're purchasing cards that are already known, these are brand new cards, right? These, not only do these have the IP from the Stranger Things, but we know that these cards are all brand new. Now, one of the things that was controversial for a while with Secret Lairs, particularly when it came to The Walking Dead, was when Wizards released The Walking Dead. They made brand new cards that didn't exist, and in that regard of them not existing, that made it so you essentially had to buy, if you wanted to use those cards, you essentially had to buy them from Wizards through the Secret Lair, which they've since reversed course on, which I think is a good thing. I think it's... Listen, I'm not opposed to Wizards making money. We know that they've made more than enough money off of me. They're a business. They exist to make profit, and that's okay, right? But the idea that in order to buy a card and use it in your deck, you couldn't open it in a pack and you could only get it through a Secret Lair that was available for a very limited period of time, I don't think that was the right move. So I like the fact that they're going back with these Secret Lair cards and with the Walking Dead cards, and they've already said that they're going to release into existence versions of these with the same mechanics. So essentially identical in skin, or not in skin, excuse me, the opposite of that, identical in mechanics and flavor of the card, but without this particular skin, but at least making it so players can obtain these through normal set boosters. And I think that's the right thing to do. So I don't know. I think I know. I don't know. Oh, cool. I was going to say, I'm actually not sure what the bonus card is here. We'll take a look at that individually. So I'll say this. In my research, I actually didn't price out the Hawkins National Laboratory card as part of the Secret Lair. So when we talk about the pricing of these cards individually, I won't actually even have that in there. So this is a non-foil Secret Lair from Stranger Things. And I believe the pre-order was announced sometime in early November of 2021. The pricing for these Secret Lairs was $39.99 for the non-foil, and I think it was $49.99 for the foil. I placed my pre-order on November 11th of 2021, and I received mine 3 months later on February 10th of 2022. So today being the filming taking place on the 27th of February 2022, we've now had at least a few weeks of data to allow these cards on the singles side and on the sealed side to hit the market, and we can kind of take a look at this. So examining the individual price right off the bat, I can tell you that the Mind Flayer right now appears to be the most sought after card in this Secret Lair. As of right now, this is again February 27th of 2022. The non-foil version of the Mind Flayer TCG market price is $23.99. So right off the bat, a Secret Lair that cost us $39.99 to purchase as a whole. Individually, the Mind Flayer itself is $24 of that. So our first other card in the Secret Lair, taking a look at this, is Chief Jim Hopper. This card is currently a TCG market of about $4.16. I actually think this is currently the least valuable single from within. But this Secret Lair, unlike a lot of others, has actually a pretty decent amount of cards. There are some Secret Lairs that you're only getting like 3 or 4, maybe 5 cards tops. This one actually has a few more. So we have our Mind Flayer to start, and then we have our Chief Gym Hopper. Again, this one is currently a market price of about $4.16. Next up, we have Dustin, the Gadget Genius. And this card is currently a singles price on market value of about $7.46. Again, using TCG Market as the price point that we're using to determine pricing. All right, next up we have 11, the Mage. I think the flavor of this card is actually incredibly cool. The current TCG Market on 11 is $8.65. Next up we have Lucas, the Sharpshooter. The current market on Lucas is $7.51. Next up, we have Max, the Daredevil. And Max is currently a TCG market of about $8.25. Next up, we have Mike, the Dungeon Master. And good old Mike, the Dungeon Master is one of the more valuable cards from within this drop, currently at $12.31 as a TCG market. Next up, we have Will the Wise. Mr. Will is currently at $4.42. And last but certainly not least is the Clue token. I mean, we've seen a million Clue tokens, right? We continue to see Clue tokens. But the Stranger Things Clue is actually carrying quite a bit more value than your average Clue token at, looks like $6.25 currently on the TCG market. So going back, and again, I didn't even look at the Hawkins National Laboratory as a card within. So I'm not even going to count this card when I talk about the individual value. But we're looking at our Mind Flayer, and that's $23.99. We're looking at our Chief Gym Hopper, which is $4.16. We've got Dustin at $7.46. Got Max at $8.25. Lucas the Sharpshooter is coming in at $7.51. 11 at $8.65. Our Clue token at $6.25. Will at $4.42, and Mike, the Dungeon Master, at $12.31. The cumulative value of these cards on a seal or on an individual, basis is $83. So when I looked at TCG Market for the sealed, so if we had this product completely unopened, completely untouched, the current market value on that is right around $67 sealed. So right off the bat, and again, we're about 3 weeks in hindsight. That's not a huge sample size for cards to make their way into circulation, but I do think it's enough. It's far away enough that we could start to kind of take a look at pricing. And that's what I want to look at when I'm talking about the Secret Lairs that I purchased for myself. And I've said this in the past, and I will say this again. I think with Secret Lairs, hey, listen, if you have all the money in the world and money is no object, again, not financial advice, but I would be really, really heavy on Secret Lairs in general. Our history at this point shows us that far more of the Secret Lairs perform than the number that don't perform post-release. But for me personally, I mostly stick with the Secret Lairs that I like. And I'm a fan of the Stranger Things IP, and I'm actually okay with the fact that they're going to release new skins of these cards so that the mechanics can make their way into the Magic community. But I still think there's going to be value, even after the series is over. I still think there's going to be value in these cards as intellectual property as well. So when we look at this, a non-foil version of this that cost me $39.99 plus tax, I'm already in the plus column at $67 if I wanted to keep it sealed, or if I sold these all individually, $83. Now, if you factor in the fact that selling these individual, A, you have to pay for postage if you're not selling it all to one buyer. B, you're probably paying a little bit extra for per sales basis as opposed to if I were selling it as one lot, if you will. But even still, if you think about the fact that on $83, you're probably paying somewhere around 15 to 16% in seller's fees if you're doing something like through eBay or one of those types of channels, those mediums, if you will, you're still going to end up in the plus column. So one of the things you could do as well is if there's just a really special card from the set that you like or from the drop that you really like, let's say that you really liked Mike and you wanted him for your commander deck, and maybe one of the others, let's say it was Mike and Will, I'm just making up an example here, you could feasibly take these two cards for yourself, sell the rest of these, and you're likely still breaking even, or maybe even still end up with a net profit on what you paid for the Secret Lair, which is definitely a strategy I think that you can employ if you're not necessarily wanting to sit on the product and invest for a long period of time, but you're wanting to be able to obtain the singles values, the particular cards from the drop without having to wait for them to hit the secondary market. You could purchase these ahead of time. I think that's definitely a strategy. It might not necessarily always pay off, but I think more often than not, if there's just one or two cards from the drop that you want for your own either personal collection or to help build the deck that you have your sights set on being able to complete, you could always keep a couple of the cards for yourself, sell the rest of them, and then even you might actually end up with a small profit, or end up, even if you're slightly in the negative, you're still essentially paying for the singles cards, almost getting them for free as a break even. And I definitely think that is a strategy, something that I would look to employ. Again, even if I wanted to keep the Mind Flayer, just the Mind Flayer, which is the most valuable card currently right now, if I wanted to keep this for myself, it's $24, but the total singles were $83. So even if I took the $24 out of the 83 and I sold the rest, even minus 15%, I'm still going to actually end up in the plus column for net profit on these. And more importantly, it's really more like, hey, it's basically like I got the Mind Flayer for free. So again, this is about 3 weeks from the receipt of when I actually received this. I wanted to wait for copies of these cards to hit the market, see how they were being absorbed by eBay and TCG to get a feel for the price points individually, and wanted to be able to kind of do like a look back. And we'll do more of these as well. That is some of my thoughts on Secret Lairs. Again, I've taken the stance that I'm going to purchase these Secret Lairs that I personally find to be a little bit more collectible, a little bit more interesting. I do look for intellectual property. I think that has value in and of itself. But then I also just look at Secret Lairs where I think the art is super cool. I think that has merit in and of itself. So for me, my personal thoughts on Secret Lairs is I do think they're worth purchasing. I definitely think that they're hard to keep up with. Wizards has no doubt about that, but maybe that in and of itself is a reason for us to purchase Secret Lairs, because I mean, realistically, there can't be a ton of people out there, individual collector-wise, that are capable of purchasing mass amounts of each Secret Lair. So maybe that means that the amount of Secret Lairs being purchased is actually being diluted, which then makes them a little bit more valuable over time even for some of the less valuable Secret Lairs initially. It is perhaps, then possible that less of those are then in circulation, which then gives them a little bit more rarity, if you will. But that's my thoughts. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and if you guys thought this was worthwhile, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to be able to converse with you, and if you enjoyed it, please remember to like, subscribe, and drop me a comment as well. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.